What if I told you that you carry around the solutions to most of your emotional problems inside your own mind? That you don't necessarily need years of expensive therapy to understand yourself, heal old wounds, and create lasting emotional change? Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most people go through their entire lives never truly understanding themselves. They react instead of respond. They repeat the same destructive patterns. They feel emotions without understanding where they come from or what they mean. They're prisoners of their own unconscious programming. And they don't even know it. You know that friend who keeps dating the same type of toxic person? That colleague who sabotages themselves right before success? That family member who explodes in anger over minor issues? They're not broken. They're just unconscious. They're running programs installed years or decades ago, never questioning why they do what they do. And here's the hard part. You're doing it too. We all are. But what if you could become conscious? What if you could understand the patterns running your life, identify where they came from, and deliberately change them? What if you could become your own therapist, equipped with the tools to process emotions, heal trauma, and continuously grow? Today, we're breaking down The Art of Self-Therapy by Nick Trenton, a book that teaches you the psychological tools and frameworks that therapists use, but packaged so you can apply them to yourself. This isn't about replacing professional help when you need it. This is about developing the self-awareness and emotional intelligence to navigate life's challenges without being controlled by unconscious patterns. By the end of this video, you'll understand the core principles of self-therapy, specific techniques to process emotions and gain insight, and how to build a practice of continuous self-discovery. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Why self-awareness is the foundation of everything. Trenton opens with a fundamental premise. You cannot change what you're not aware of. Self-awareness isn't just nice to have. It's the prerequisite for all personal growth, emotional healing, and behavior change. Think about it. If you don't know why you're anxious, you can't address the root cause. You just medicate the symptom. If you don't understand why you procrastinate, you can't fix it. You just beat yourself up for being lazy. If you don't recognize your emotional triggers, you can't manage them. You just keep exploding and apologizing later. Most people live in what the book calls automatic mode. They react to situations based on learned patterns without ever questioning those patterns. Someone criticizes them and they immediately get defensive, automatic. They face a challenge and immediately feel overwhelmed, automatic. They achieve success and immediately feel like an imposter, automatic. These automatic responses were learned, usually in childhood, as coping mechanisms. At some point, those responses made sense or kept you safe. But now, they're running your adult life inappropriately, and you don't even notice because they're unconscious. Self-awareness is the act of making the unconscious conscious. It's observing your own thoughts, emotions, reactions, and patterns as if you're a scientist studying a subject. Not judging, just observing with curiosity. The book identifies 3 levels of self-awareness. Level 1, basic emotional awareness, recognizing what you're feeling in the moment. Most people skip this step. They feel something, react to it, then move on without ever identifying the emotion. I feel something bad instead of I'm feeling anxious about this presentation because I fear being judged. Level 2, pattern recognition, noticing recurring themes in your emotional life. I always feel inadequate around successful people. I get defensive when anyone questions my decisions. I feel abandoned when friends don't text back immediately. These patterns reveal core beliefs driving your behavior. Level 3, origin awareness, understanding where your patterns came from. That inadequacy around successful people might trace to a parent who was never satisfied with your achievements. That defensiveness may be from growing up in a family where being wrong meant being attacked. That abandonment sensitivity, perhaps from early experiences of unreliable caregivers. Trenton emphasizes, you're not doing this to blame others or dwell in the past. You're doing it to understand the code your operating system is running on so you can debug it. The book introduces a powerful practice, the daily self-awareness check-in. Spend just 5 minutes at the end of each day asking yourself 3 questions. 1. What emotions did I feel today? 2. What triggered those emotions? 3. How did I respond, and was that response helpful or harmful? This simple practice, done consistently, dramatically increases self-awareness. You start noticing patterns. You see the same triggers appearing repeatedly. You recognize when you're about to react automatically and can choose differently. Self-awareness doesn't automatically fix your problems, but it's the foundation that makes fixing them possible. You can't steer a ship if you don't know where you're currently heading. Chapter 2, The Power of Naming and Processing Emotions. Let's talk about something most people are terrible at: actually feeling and processing their emotions instead of avoiding, suppressing, or acting them out unconsciously. Trenton explains that emotions are information. They're signals from your nervous system telling you something about your internal state or external situation. Ignoring these signals is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. The problem doesn't go away. It gets worse. But here's what most people do. They feel something uncomfortable and immediately try to make it go away. Distraction, substances, compulsive behaviors, denial, intellectualizing, anything to not actually feel the feeling. The problem? Emotions that aren't processed don't disappear. They get stored in your body and unconscious mind, only to resurface later, often in distorted or intensified forms. That anger you suppressed, it becomes chronic resentment or explosive rage at minor issues. That grief you avoided, it becomes depression. That fear you denied, it becomes anxiety that infiltrates everything. The book teaches a radically different approach. Feel your emotions fully, name them accurately, and explore what they're telling you. Here's the practice. Step 1. Notice the physical sensation. Where do you feel this emotion in your body? Tightness in chest, knot in stomach, tension in shoulders? Emotions are embodied experiences. Start with the body. Step 2. Name the emotion precisely. Don't just say bad or upset. Get specific. Are you angry, frustrated, disappointed, resentful, hurt, or something else? Each emotion carries different information. The more precisely you name it, the more clearly you understand what's happening. Trenton provides an extensive emotion vocabulary because most people only have a handful of emotion words. Expanding your emotional vocabulary literally expands your ability to understand yourself. Step 3. Accept the emotion without judgment. Don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel this way. You do feel this way. That's reality. Judging your emotions adds a second layer of suffering. Now you feel bad, and you feel bad about feeling bad. Step 4. Explore the emotion with curiosity. triggered this? What belief or need is underneath this emotion? Anger often covers hurt or fear. Anxiety often points to uncertainty or perceived lack of control. Sadness often signals loss or unmet needs. Step 5. Express the emotion appropriately. This doesn't mean dumping emotions on others. It means giving yourself permission to feel fully. Cry if you need to cry. Journal if that helps process. Talk to a trusted person. Move your body to release the energy. The book shares a powerful insight. Most negative emotions lose their power when you fully feel and accept them. That anxiety you're avoiding, when you actually sit with it, breathe through it, and feel it without resistance, it often dissipates within minutes. Not permanently solved, but no longer overwhelming in the moment. Conversely, emotions you resist persist. They grow stronger in the dark of your unconscious. They control you precisely because you won't look at them directly. Trenton also addresses emotional numbing. When people have suppressed emotions for so long, they can barely feel anything. If this describes you, the practice is the same, but gentler. Start small. Notice subtle emotions. Don't expect to suddenly feel intensely. Your emotional range will gradually expand as you create safety for feeling. One critical point: processing emotions isn't wallowing. You're not dwelling in feelings indefinitely. You're feeling them, understanding them, and letting them move through you. Emotions are temporary by nature when we don't trap them with resistance or feed them with rumination. Chapter 3. Identifying and challenging your core beliefs. Now we get to something deep, the invisible beliefs that shape your entire reality. Most people have no idea they're operating from a set of core beliefs that filter every experience and drive every behavior. Trenton defines core beliefs as fundamental assumptions about yourself, others, and the world. They're formed early in life based on experiences and messages you received, and they operate as absolute truths, even though they're often distorted or false. Common negative core beliefs about yourself: I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I'm a failure, I'm broken, I'm powerless, I'm responsible for everyone's feelings. About others: people are selfish and can't be trusted. People will abandon me if they really know me. People are judging me constantly. No one cares about me. About the world: the world is dangerous. Success requires sacrifice. Life is unfair. Good things don't last. I'll never get what I want. Here's the insidious part. These beliefs create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe people will abandon me, you'll act clingy or push people away preemptively, causing the very abandonment you fear. If you believe I'm not good enough, you'll sabotage opportunities or not try, confirming the belief. The book teaches a process for identifying and challenging these beliefs. Step 1. Identify your beliefs. Look at recurring patterns in your life. What keeps happening? That pattern points to an underlying belief. If you consistently end up in relationships where you're not valued, you probably believe you're not worthy of being valued. Pay attention to absolute statements you make. I always fail. Nobody likes me. Things never work out for me. These statements reveal core beliefs. Step 2. Examine the evidence. Write down your belief, then create 2 columns. Evidence for this belief and evidence against this belief. Be honest. Most negative core beliefs crumble when you actually examine evidence objectively. I'm a failure. Evidence for? Some things haven't worked out. Evidence against? Multiple successes you're discounting, things you've learned and grown through, relationships you've built. When you actually list evidence, you usually discover the belief is a distortion, not truth. Step 3. Identify the origin. Where did this belief come from? Usually it traces to childhood experiences or messages. A parent who was critical, you developed, "I'm not good enough." A friend group that excluded you, you developed, "I don't belong." A traumatic experience where you felt powerless, you developed, "The world is dangerous." Understanding origin doesn't change the belief automatically, but it helps you see that the belief was a child's interpretation of limited experiences, not universal truth. Step 4. Create alternative, more accurate beliefs. You're not trying to replace negative beliefs with unrealistically positive ones. You're finding more accurate, balanced beliefs. Instead of, "I'm a failure," try, "I've experienced both successes and setbacks, like everyone. I'm learning and growing." Instead of, "People will abandon me," try, "Some people have left my life, but others have stayed. I can handle loss, and I can build new connections." Step 5. Gather evidence for new beliefs. Your brain won't adopt new beliefs just because you state them. You need to actively look for evidence supporting the new belief. This trains your attention to notice what you've been filtering out. If your new belief is, "I'm capable," actively notice every instance of handling something competently. Your brain has been filtering these out to maintain the "I'm incapable" belief. Now, you consciously redirect attention. Trenton emphasizes, changing core beliefs is not quick. These beliefs have decades of reinforcement, but consistent challenge, evidence examination, and attention redirection will gradually shift them. After months of practice, you'll notice the old beliefs have less grip on you. One powerful technique from the book: when you notice a negative belief arising, immediately ask, "Is this absolutely true?" Usually it's not. It's a distorted overgeneralization. Simply questioning it loosens its power. Chapter 4. Reparenting Yourself. Healing Childhood Wounds. This chapter addresses something profound. Many of your current struggles stem from unmet childhood needs, and while you can't change your past, you can give yourself now what you didn't receive then. Trenton introduces the concept of reparenting, consciously providing yourself with the nurturing, validation, protection, and guidance you needed but didn't fully receive as a child. Everyone has some level of childhood wounding. Perfect parenting doesn't exist. Even well-meaning parents make mistakes, face their own limitations, or can't meet every emotional need. This isn't about blaming parents. It's about acknowledging that you entered adulthood with some unmet needs that now manifest as emotional patterns. Common childhood wounds and their adult manifestations: lack of attunement, parents who were emotionally unavailable or couldn't read your needs. You struggle to identify and communicate your own needs. You feel invisible or unimportant. You become hyper-independent because asking for help feels impossible. Conditional love. Love was given based on achievement or behavior. You become a perfectionist or people-pleaser. Your self-worth is tied to performance. You fear that if people really know you, they won't love you. Criticism or shaming. You have harsh inner self-talk. You're paralyzed by fear of judgment. You hide parts of yourself and overanalyze everything you say or do. Inconsistent caregiving. You have anxiety in relationships. You struggle with trust. You're either clingy or avoidantly independent. Over-control or lack of autonomy. You struggle with decision-making. You either rebel against any authority or become overly compliant. You have difficulty knowing what you actually want. The book teaches that you can now become the parent you needed. Not literally, but psychologically and emotionally. You can give yourself the validation, compassion, encouragement, and protection your younger self didn't receive. Here's how. Inner child work. Visualize yourself as a child at various ages. Imagine adult you meeting child you. What did child you need to hear? What did they need to know? Tell them. You're loved. You're safe. It's not your fault. You're enough exactly as you are. This might feel weird, but it's psychologically powerful. You're literally providing your own nervous system with the reassurance it's been seeking. Self-compassion. When you make mistakes or struggle, talk to yourself the way a good parent would talk to a struggling child. Not harsh criticism, not dismissing the struggle. Compassionate acknowledgement. This is hard. You're doing your best. Let's figure this out together. Most people have brutal internal dialogue. They say things to themselves they'd never say to a child. Reparenting means extending yourself the kindness you'd give someone you loved. Setting boundaries. Part of good parenting is protection. As your own parent, you need to protect yourself by setting boundaries, saying no to things that harm you, removing yourself from toxic situations, standing up for yourself. Many people with boundary issues were taught as children that their needs don't matter, or that saying no is selfish. Reparenting includes giving yourself permission to have boundaries. Encouragement. Children need encouragement to try new things, risk failure, and grow. As your own parent, encourage yourself. You can do this. It's okay to be scared and do it anyway. I'm proud of you for trying. Structure and discipline. Good parents provide structure and loving discipline. As your own parent, you create structure that serves you, routines, commitments, accountability. Not punishment-based discipline, but loving guidance towards your goals. The book emphasizes reparenting isn't about dwelling in victimhood or blaming parents. It's about taking radical responsibility for your own emotional healing. Your parents did their best with what they had. Now, you're equipped with awareness and tools they probably didn't have. You can complete the developmental work that wasn't finished in childhood. This work is deep and can bring up painful emotions. That's normal. You might need professional support for it, but the core principle stands. You have the power to heal old wounds by giving yourself now what was missing then. Chapter 5, Breaking Free from Negative Thought Patterns. Let's talk about your thinking patterns, because thoughts literally create your emotional reality. Same situation, different thoughts, completely different emotional experience. Trenton introduces cognitive distortions, systematic errors in thinking that twist reality and make you feel worse than situations warrant. Everyone does these. The key is catching yourself and correcting them. The most common cognitive distortions: all or nothing thinking. Everything is black or white, no middle ground. You're either perfect or a complete failure, either loved by everyone or rejected by all. This creates impossible standards and inevitable disappointment. Example: you eat healthy all week, then have pizza Friday night and think, I've blown my diet. I have no self-control. Reality: one meal doesn't negate a week of healthy choices. You're doing fine. Catastrophizing: assuming the worst possible outcome will definitely happen. Your partner is quiet and you're convinced they're about to leave you. You make a mistake at work and you're certain you'll be fired. Example: You send a text that doesn't get immediate response and jump to, "They hate me. I said something wrong. This friendship is over." Reality: they're probably just busy, mind reading, assuming you know what others are thinking, usually negative thoughts about you. They think I'm stupid. She's judging me. He's annoyed with me. You can't read minds, but you act as if you can. Overgeneralization: taking one instance and applying it to everything. You have one bad date. I'll never find love. One job rejection. I'll never get hired. One conflict with a friend. I'm terrible at relationships. Personalization: taking everything personally and seeing yourself as the cause of external events. Your boss is in a bad mood. Must be something you did. Your friend cancels plans. They must not want to spend time with you. Reality: people have their own lives and issues that have nothing to do with you. Should statements: constantly saying what you should be doing, creating guilt and pressure. I should be more productive. I shouldn't need help. I should be over this by now. Should statements are judgmental and unhelpful. Emotional reasoning: believing that feelings reflect reality. I feel like a fraud, therefore I am a fraud. I feel unloved, therefore I'm unlovable. Feelings are real, but they're not facts about reality. Discounting the positive. Dismissing positive experiences or qualities. That success doesn't count. They're just being nice. Anyone could have done that. You only let in information that confirms negative beliefs. The book teaches a systematic process for catching and correcting these distortions. Step 1. Notice when you're feeling bad. Negative emotions are signals that distorted thinking might be happening. Step 2. Identify the thought creating the emotion. What were you thinking right before you felt this way? Step 3. Name the distortion. Which cognitive distortions are you engaging in? Often it's multiple ones at once. Step 4. Challenge the thought. What's the evidence for this thought? What's the evidence against it? What would you tell a friend thinking this way? What's a more balanced perspective? Step 5. Replace with a more accurate thought. Not a unrealistically positive thought, but a balanced, evidence-based one. Trenton provides detailed examples of this process in action. Someone thinks, "I'm terrible at my job," after receiving one piece of critical feedback. They're catastrophizing, overgeneralizing, and discounting positive feedback they've received. A more accurate thought: I received feedback on one area I can improve. That doesn't negate my overall competence. Everyone has areas for growth. The book emphasizes, this isn't toxic positivity or ignoring problems. It's seeing reality accurately instead of through a distorted negative filter. Sometimes accurate thinking still leads to negative emotions. That's fine. But you're responding to reality, not distortions. One powerful technique: the thought record. Keep a journal where you write down distressing thoughts, identify the distortions, and write more balanced alternatives. Over time, your brain learns to catch and correct distortions automatically. This is literally what cognitive behavioral therapy does, but you're doing it for yourself. With practice, you become much better at managing your own thinking patterns. Chapter 6. Building emotional resilience through self-care. Now let's talk about something crucial that gets dismissed as fluffy: self-care. Trenton redefines self-care not as luxury pampering, but as the practices that maintain your psychological and emotional foundation. Think of yourself as having an emotional bank account. Daily life makes withdrawals, stress, challenges, conflicts, disappointments. Self-care makes deposits. When your account is full, you handle difficulties with resilience. When it's depleted, minor issues feel overwhelming. Most people run chronically depleted and wonder why they're always on edge, exhausted, or reactive. It's not a character flaw. It's a depleted emotional bank account. The book breaks down self-care into essential categories. Physical self-care. Your mind and body are connected. Poor sleep, bad nutrition, no movement, and chronic stress destroy emotional resilience. This isn't optional. It's foundational. Sleep. Most people need 7 to 9 hours. When you're sleep deprived, emotional regulation deteriorates. Everything feels harder. Prioritize sleep like your mental health depends on it, because it does. Movement. Exercise isn't just physical, it's emotional regulation, stress release, mood improvement, and self-efficacy building all in one. Even 20 to 30 minutes of walking daily makes enormous difference. Nutrition. Blood sugar crashes, dehydration, and nutrient deficiencies affect mood and cognition dramatically. You don't need a perfect diet, but consistent basic nutrition is self-care. Emotional self-care. Practices that directly support emotional processing and regulation. Journaling. Writing about emotions helps process them, gain perspective, and release what's stuck inside. Even 10 minutes of free writing about what you're feeling can be incredibly therapeutic. Therapy, or support groups. Professional help isn't admitting defeat. It's investing in yourself. If you can access therapy, do it. If not, support groups, online communities, or trusted friends can provide emotional support. Boundaries. Saying no to what depletes you, and yes to what nourishes you. Limiting time with toxic people, not overcommitting. Protecting your time and energy. Emotional expression. Finding healthy outlets for emotions. Talking to someone. Creative expression. Movement. Crying when you need to cry. Suppression depletes your bank account. Mental self-care. Practices that support cognitive health and perspective. Learning. Engaging your mind in growth keeps you sharp and provides sense of progress. Reading, courses, creative pursuits, challenging hobbies. Mindfulness, meditation, training your attention to stay present rather than ruminating on past or worrying about future. Even 5 minutes daily reduces anxiety and improves emotional regulation. Digital boundaries. Constant news, social media, and screen time are mentally and emotionally exhausting. Creating tech-free time is essential self-care. Cognitive reframing. Using the cognitive skills we discussed earlier to maintain balanced thinking. Social self-care. Humans are social creatures. Connection isn't optional for emotional health. Quality relationships. Time with people who see you, accept you, and energize you. Not just quantity of social interaction, but quality. Belonging. Being part of communities or groups where you feel you belong, whether that's friends, family, clubs, religious communities, or online groups. Asking for help. Recognizing when you need support and actually asking for it, rather than suffering in isolation. Spiritual self-care. This isn't necessarily religious. It's about connection to something larger than yourself and clarifying your values and meaning. Values clarification. Understanding what matters most to you guides decisions and creates meaning. Purpose work. Connecting daily activities to larger purpose. Asking, what's this all for? And having answers that resonate. Nature, beauty, awe. Experiencing things larger than yourself that create perspective and wonder. Trenton emphasizes self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself enables you to show up for others, handle challenges, and live fully rather than just survive. Build a self-care routine that hits all these categories regularly. It doesn't need to be elaborate. Simple, consistent practices compound over time into robust emotional resilience. Chapter 7. Creating your self-therapy practice. Finally, let's talk about synthesizing everything into an ongoing practice. Self-therapy isn't a one-time fix. It's a continuous practice of self-awareness, emotional processing, and intentional growth. Trenton provides a framework for building your own self-therapy practice. Daily practices, 10-15 minutes total. Morning intention setting. Before diving into the day, spend 3 to 5 minutes setting intention. What matters today? What challenges might arise? How do you want to show up? Evening reflection. The self-awareness check-in we discussed earlier. What emotions did you feel? What triggered them? How did you respond? What did you learn about yourself? Mindful moments. Throughout the day, pause briefly to check in. Notice emotions, physical sensations, thoughts. This builds awareness and prevents emotional buildup. Weekly practices, 30 to 60 minutes. Deep journaling. Longer writing session, exploring what's coming up for you. Process difficult emotions. Work through cognitive distortions. Examine patterns you're noticing. Review and planning. Look at your week. What patterns emerged? What do you want to work on? What self-care needs attention? Plan upcoming week accordingly. Connection. Quality time with someone who supports your growth. Share what you're learning about yourself. Ask for feedback and perspective. Monthly practices, 1 and 2 hours. Comprehensive self-assessment. Big picture check-in. How are you doing overall? What progress have you made? What areas need more attention? Core belief work. Deeper examination of beliefs driving your patterns. Challenge distortions. Gather evidence for new beliefs. Goal evaluation. Are you moving toward what matters to you? Do goals need adjusting? What obstacles are you hitting? As needed practices. Emotional processing when big feelings arise. Using the techniques we discussed to fully feel and understand emotions rather than suppressing them. Crisis management. When you're overwhelmed, having go-to practices that calm your nervous system. Deep breathing, grounding exercises, calling someone, going for a walk. Pattern interruption. When you catch yourself repeating unhelpful patterns, consciously choosing different responses, the book emphasizes consistency matters more than perfection. 5 minutes daily beats an hour once a month. Build practices you'll actually maintain, not elaborate routines you'll abandon. Trenton also addresses when to seek professional help. Self-therapy is powerful, but it has limits. Consider professional support if you're dealing with trauma that feels overwhelming to process alone. You have persistent suicidal thoughts or self-harm urges. You're struggling with addiction. Your symptoms significantly interfere with daily functioning. You've been working on something yourself for months without progress. You simply want additional support and guidance. Professional therapy and self-therapy work beautifully together. Therapy gives you new tools and insights. Self-therapy helps you integrate and practice them between sessions. 1. Final powerful point from the book. Self-therapy is an act of self-love. You're saying, I matter enough to invest time understanding myself. I'm worth the effort of healing and growth. That message alone is healing. Your self-therapy journey begins now. Let's bring this together. The art of self-therapy teaches that you have far more power to understand, heal, and grow yourself than you've been led to believe. You're not broken and needing to be fixed by an expert. You're a complex human with patterns, wounds, and potential, fully capable of engaging in your own healing journey. You've learned that self-awareness is the foundation. You can't change what you're not conscious of. You've discovered how to actually feel and process emotions rather than avoiding or suppressing them, letting them inform you rather than control you. You've seen how to identify and challenge the core beliefs driving your patterns, and how to replace distorted beliefs with more accurate ones. You've learned about reparenting yourself, giving yourself now what you didn't receive then, healing childhood wounds with compassion and intentional care. You've discovered how to catch and correct cognitive distortions that twist reality and create unnecessary suffering. You've learned that self-care isn't luxury. It's essential maintenance of your emotional and psychological foundation. And you've seen how to build an ongoing self-therapy practice that supports continuous growth. But here's what separates people who transform through self-therapy from people who just learn about it: implementation. Knowing these concepts intellectually does nothing. Practicing them consistently changes everything. Here's your action plan starting today. Do the evening reflection exercise. Spend 5 minutes before bed asking, what emotions did I feel today? What triggered them? How did I respond? Just observe. Don't judge. This week, start the daily practice. Morning intention, 3 minutes. And evening reflection, 5 minutes. Build the habit of checking in with yourself twice daily. That's 8 minutes that will change your relationship with yourself. This month, do the deep weekly journaling session. Pick one pattern or struggle you're facing. Write about it. Identify the emotions, the triggers, any cognitive distortions, any core beliefs underneath. Work through the challenge on paper. Also this month, identify one core belief that's limiting you. Write it down. Examine evidence for and against it. Create a more accurate alternative belief. Start actively looking for evidence supporting the new belief. Ongoing, build your self-care routine hitting all categories: physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual. Start simple. Don't try to overhaul your entire life. Add one practice at a time until you have a sustainable routine. Remember Trenton's core message. Self-therapy isn't about becoming perfect or eliminating all pain. It's about developing the awareness, tools, and practices to navigate being human with more skill, compassion, and intentionality. You will still face challenges. You will still feel difficult emotions. You will still have bad days. But you'll understand yourself better, process experiences more effectively, and respond to life more consciously rather than just reacting on autopilot. The emotionally healthy version of you that exists a year from now, the one who understands their patterns, processes emotions skillfully, has healed old wounds, and responds to life with awareness instead of reacting unconsciously. That person is built through the daily practice you start today. You don't need permission to begin this work. You don't need perfect conditions or endless free time. You need 5 to 10 minutes daily and the commitment to consistently show up for yourself. Your self-therapy journey doesn't begin someday. It begins right now with this next moment of self-awareness. What are you feeling in this moment? There. You've already started.